I see now that the circumstances of one's birth are irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are.
There, I just saved you about 2 hours and a week of therapy. You're welcome. Soul. Pixar's first black lead, and what do? Kill him off and turn him into a blue blob. And before the 10-minute mark, no less. I have such mixed feelings on this movie. It's not a masterpiece, but it ain't terrible either. 'Tis the Disney effect. Everyone's kissing ass and praising a product until you see the flaws and start tearing in a new one. But I recognize those flaws on my first watch through. But let's start with the good. Joe's passion. Seeing him lose himself while playing piano, getting into the zone, it was beautiful. I think we can all relate to that. Whether it's art, sports, even editing this video, we all love diving into our passions. But too much self-indulgence could cause a dopamine overdose, hence becoming a lost soul. Joe's parents. To me, they nailed the black mom, and reminded me of my own. Libya, that's her name by the way, they never say it in the movie, wants her son to get a full-time job with benefits. Child, that's what I strive for. A black parent struggling in order to get their child an education so it can pay off for them as an adult. This movie gets too real. But I wish we could have learned more about Joe's dad. Damn you, Disney, and your dead parent trope. Actual diversity in New York? It's mwah. From Joe's classroom to the city streets, I love seeing variety. I'm so sick of animation taking place in these diverse cities and not committing. There's damn near 9 million people in New York. You're bound to run into a few people of color. The Jerrys. If not for the Jerrys, and no joke, I would have completely hated The Great Before. I still don't like it, but Jerry made it a bit more bearable. They're just such a delightful group in this ever so needlessly complicated before life place. But what are they exactly? Deities or something? It's not really made clear. 22. Okay, I have more to say about 22 later on, so I'll keep this brief. Or Boxer. Boxer, I barely know her. Okay. 22's snarky and witty remarks were hilarious, and I love the detail in her hideout of how many mentors she's had. Even names in various languages. Super neat Easter egg. The message.
I see now that the circumstances of...
But seriously, simply put, the message is don't let your dreams narrow your ability to find happiness in small feats. Live in the moment. Enjoy the simple things. It's about the journey, not the destination. Yada yada yada. Life and death are complicated themes, and depending on your personal beliefs, are intense topics to explore. But I love that the movie ends with no clear answer, because that's just how plain old living works. There is no straightforward answer to life, no guide. Life is what you make of it. Kuji Chakalia. I love the message, and definitely took it to heart, but I don't like how we got to it, which is a perfect segue to the bad. The execution. Why my nigga Joe had to die? I mean, I know why, but why? We finally get a black lead from Pixar, and they gon' kill him off before he gets his chance to shine? Dog, that is so frustrating. And to make matters worse, they put him in a cat. A freaking cat? It really does feel like they were bending over backwards to ensure Joe doesn't get to be in his own body for the whole movie. Hell, like his body, the movie gets hijacked by 22 for more than a third of the film. You think I'm exaggerating? Nah, dog. I did the math, and Joe is in his human body for way less than a third of the movie's runtime, whether or not you count opening and ending credits. He's a human for roughly the same amount of time the credits are on screen. That's ridiculous. Yeah, minor antagonist. This isn't something I hated, but wanted to mention as a weakness. Terry was the only one who cared about the count being off, and it wasn't treated like a big deal in the larger scheme of things. The stakes were low, and not even the Jerrys cared. So we forgot to add the one. So what? Big deal. Oh, and a side note, her mistaking Paul for Joe wasn't racist. I'm looking at you, insider. Also, pro tip, don't have a white woman commentate on racial issues. Now, I obviously don't speak for all black people, but I think a few of them would agree that Terry mistaking Paul for Joe wasn't racist. Terry knew what Joe looked like and spotted him on the street. She thought he was just gonna walk down the street, making it an easy capture, but got Paul by mistake, which she realized. Actually, it kind of would have been more racist if she took in Paul's soul and thought with her whole chest that he was Joe and just ignored the file saying otherwise in order to just fill in the count. Besides, the real enemy of this movie is our own anxieties towards living. Honestly, the execution is my only gripe with this film. So how could Soul play out if they toned down the fantasy or just change some things around? Well, here's 2 scenarios I came up with if we were to make some adjustments. And either A, have less fantasy, more reality. You have a strong supporting cast of human characters and phenomenal voice talent behind it. Why aren't you using them, Disney? One does not simply feature David Diggs, Felicia Rashad, Donnell Rawlings, Questlove, and Angela motherfucking Bassett in their movies to just get sidelined by a bunch of blue boogers. I would have loved to learn more about how Livia got her own tailor shop, perhaps go into more detail on Joe's upbringing, and Dorothea and her bandmates. What are they like? They don't even talk. The girl who plays the cello doesn't even say a word. I'd rather learn about the human cast than try to wrap my head around how the Great Before works. Like, if a soul needs a body, does that mean a fetus doesn't have a soul? Does a soul inhabit a fully developed fetus or when the baby is born? If a soul never went to Earth when they got their Earth badge, does that mean a mother had a miscarriage? Why is the cat still alive? We saw its soul. Is Terry not as anal about animals compared to humans? Ugh, it's so complicated. The wasted potential of Connie. Oof! What are the odds we get another girl in animation named Connie and her potential being squandered for the plot? Well, I think because kids have yet to fully develop their sense of empathy, can be nihilistic, but also inquisitive, Connie should have replaced 22. The story would be more like this. The dilemma of Joe choosing to stick with the band or teaching full-time. Connie could have helped him recognize that his life made an impact on hers, just like with Curly. Joe learning from his past and current students that even though his dream is to play on stage, the journey caused a ripple effect of inspiration in his students. That, without his teachings, they wouldn't have found their passions. Taking the moment to stop and realize the impact your life has on others. That would have been a good lesson too. Or scenario B. Fantastical, but practical. Same story, different voice. If you want to keep the fantasy element, fine, but at least change 22's voice actress. If they just wanted an annoying voice, they should have just gotten Tiffany Haddish. As enjoyable as Tina Fey was, Disney could have easily casted a black person instead. At least then the body swap would feel less intrusive. Now, y'all might disagree with me on this, but the Freaky Friday shit felt like some thinly veiled blackface, I understand that the point of 22 in Joe's body is so she can get a feel for living. But the idea of this white woman's voice coming out of a black man's body does not sit right with me. Especially with how every other white person these days wants to be oppressed so bad to the point where they rebrand and wear our styles while also using black scents. White people want to wear us, but not be us. Has Get Out taught us nothing? This would be a little darker. But I'm just imagining a scene with 22 running into the police, and Joe has to keep her from getting his body injured, or worse. Disney would never. Oh, and the barbershop scene actually irked me. Barbershops and beauty salons are like black speakeasies, okay? A place where black folks can go and freely express ourselves. Whether we gossiping, playing games, or getting our hair did, they are an integral part of black culture. Anytime there's a movie with an all-black cast, you're likely to see a barbershop scene. Hell, there's even movies centered around our hair care havens. So imagine my rage seeing this white woman invading our sanctity. She didn't earn her right to be in that chair, damn it! I'd give Soul a B-. Wish they had more than one black person working on the script, though. If I wanted to ugly cry and wrestle with my mortality, I'd watch Coco. But in terms of animation, backgrounds, and even character designs, Soul is absolutely gorgeous. But I'm still conflicted, because I relate to Joe on such a personal level, and I got upset that the story couldn't stay focused on him. I understand his drive and his passion. He wants to make music his career if only someone just gave him the chance to. Seeing him getting turned down is like when I'm doing job applications and interviews. Putting your all into something just to get nothing out of it, it's exhausting and infuriating. You see, I've always played by the rules, because I thought that's how life worked. I learned how to approach people in a professional manner. network, and took literal classes on adulting so I could best prepare myself. Oh, I definitely peaked in college, where during my senior year I went above and beyond to produce my own play, and it was hell. I'm a planner, so I had everything set up and expected to run into a few hurdles along the way. Some I had to work around on the spot. I was stressing over how few people auditioned, gathering a tech crew, securing our location for the performances, and so many other little details that go into producing a show. After it was all said and done, I showed my gratitude to the cast and crew with a fat-ass pizza party with all the fixins and plenty for them to take home. Gotta keep college students fed, of course. But oddly enough, I don't remember much from the performances. Rather the little things we did to make it all possible. Gathering props, production meetings, photo shoots, sitting in on late-night rehearsals, carrying a ballerina bar halfway across campus, and borrowing so much furniture from the theater department. I miss it. When it was all over, people were approaching me in awe about the show. I was already well known on campus, but it felt like my popularity skyrocketed. I finally felt recognized by my theatrical peers, and if you know anything about theater kids, they are a hard bunch to impress. You know, to this day, people still talk about the show, and it makes me so proud that I was able to make a name for myself. I also got an alumni award for my student leadership, and in my acceptance speech, I went off about how I have yet to find work and the struggles of being a black girl attending a predominantly white institution. Yeah, story for another time. Whew, but it went downhill from there. I was looking for work prior to graduation, and to this day, I still am. December 2019 was when I finally got a job. I loved working there. I started getting into a groove and was ready to put my adulting lessons into action. And then COVID happened. I can't go back to my job until who knows how long. And it ain't easy finding new work in these times. So my 2020 was filled with financial dread. And I'm praying that 2021 will have stability. So as crushing and existential as it got, Soul reminded me to enjoy the little moments and actually live life. And in the year we've had, it's really hard to move forward. But let it be known that I'm trying to find that next opportunity, or make it myself.